In the quiet town of Pine Hollow, Flora Miller was known for her exceptional green thumb. Her modest apartment was filled with lush plants, each thriving under her care. But one day, while browsing a local garden shop, she discovered something that piqued her curiosity. A peculiar plant with deep green, waxy leaves and a shape that hinted at something predatory. "Ah, that one's special," the shopkeeper said, noticing her interest. "It's a Carnivora Maxima. Rare, but it needs plenty of care. Just be careful. It can get a bit hungry." Flora chuckled at the warning, intrigued rather than deterred. She envisioned the plant thriving in her home and decided to bring it back. As weeks passed, Flora nurtured the plant with loving attention. She watered it daily, ensuring it received enough sunlight. The plant responded beautifully, growing larger and lusher with each passing day. It seemed to lean toward her whenever she spoke, as if it were listening. One night she dreamt of the plant whispering her name, urging her to feed it. She awoke with a start, shaking off the eerie feeling that clung to her. It was just a plant, after all. But as the days went by, Flora noticed changes. The plant's appetite grew insatiable. At first, she fed it insects, then small scraps of meat she had left over. Each time she did, it pulsed with life, its leaves glistening in a way that made her skin crawl. Her friends began to express concern. "You're spending too much time with that thing," her best friend Alice said one evening, worry etched on her face. But Flora brushed off their worries, convinced she had found a special companion. As the plant continued to thrive, Flora found herself becoming increasingly isolated. Friends stopped visiting, and her job began to suffer. She didn't care. The plant was her sole focus. It was demanding, requiring more attention than she ever imagined. One evening, she came home to find the plant alarmingly large, its once delicate structure now towering over her. Fear crept into her mind, but she shook it off, telling herself it was just her imagination. However, when she leaned in closer, the air thickened, and she heard a low, menacing whisper. "Feed me. More." Startled, she pulled back, her heart racing. What was happening? Days passed, and Flora's life spiraled further out of control. The plant demanded more food, more attention, more of her very essence. One night, she awoke to find its tendrils wrapped around her arm, its leaves caressing her skin. Panic surged through her as she yanked her arm free, but the plant shuddered in response, a sound akin to a growl emanating from it. "What do you want from me?" she cried, desperation rising in her chest. The plant trembled, and a voice filled her mind. "I want to grow, and you are the key." Realization dawned, and she knew she had to end this before it consumed her completely. Racing to the kitchen, she searched for something to destroy the plant. But when she turned back, horror struck her. What had once been a mere plant had transformed. The branches now resembled arms, and the center bloomed a grotesque mouth filled with sharp, glistening teeth. "No, this can't be happening," she screamed. The plant lunged at her, its mouth opening wide, ready to claim her as its next meal. In a moment of instinct, she grabbed a knife and slashed at the nearest tendril. It recoiled, hissing like a serpent, but she knew she couldn't keep fighting forever. Desperate, Flora poured a bottle of toxic plant food over the creature. The plant shrieked, its form twisting and contorting as it absorbed the poison. But instead of dying, it grew larger, its leaves darkening to a sinister shade. With a primal scream, the plant lunged again, faster this time. She felt its cold tendrils wrap around her waist, pulling her closer to its ravenous mouth. "No, I won't be your food," Flora cried, struggling against its grip. But her voice was drowned out by the plant's roar, a sound that reverberated through the room as darkness enveloped her. Days turned into weeks, and the townsfolk who remained in Pine Hollow whispered of Flora's disappearance. Her apartment stood silent, the curtains drawn. Only the monstrous plant thrived, its grotesque form towering in the center of the living room. One evening, a neighbor ventured too close, drawn in by a strange light flickering through the window. As they peered inside, they caught a glimpse of the Carnivora Maxima, now fully transformed into a monstrous creature, its mouth wide and glistening with saliva. As the screen fades to black, the eerie whisper echoed in the silence. "Feed me. More." And in Pine Hollow, the legend of the woman who grew a man-eating plant would linger, a chilling reminder of what can happen when nurturing turns into obsession.